In the small, quiet town of Shreveport, Louisiana, a single tragedy spiraled into one of the most shocking injustice cases in modern American history. A story of fear, flawed science, powerful prosecutors, and a man who spent almost 3 decades waiting to die for a crime he always said he did not commit. This is the long, full story of Jimmie Ray Duncan, the Louisiana man who became the center of a nationwide fight for justice. It was December 1993. Jimmie Duncan was spending the evening at home with his girlfriend Julie and her young daughter. The child, just 23 months old, was like a daughter to him. He cared for her, played with her, and helped raise her. But that night, something went horribly wrong. The toddler was found unresponsive in the bathtub. Panic filled the apartment. The kind of panic any parent or caretaker would feel during a child's accident. Duncan claimed he tried to help, tried to revive her, tried to get help, but nothing worked. Paramedics arrived, rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. The doctors ruled the cause of death a tragic drowning. It should have ended there, a devastating accident, but it didn't. Because tragedy often invites suspicion, and in Louisiana, suspicion quickly turned into accusation. Detectives began to examine the child's body. What they thought they saw shook them. Small circular marks around her face. One investigator suggested they might be bite marks. With that single suggestion, the emotional tragedy turned into a criminal case. Instead of treating Duncan as a grieving caregiver, detectives began treating him as a potential murderer. Questions became accusations. Accusations became a full criminal investigation. Soon, Duncan was arrested. The charge, capital murder of a child, a charge that carried the ultimate penalty, death. Because investigators insisted those marks were bite marks, they brought in a forensic odontologist, a bite mark expert. At the time, in the 90s, bite mark analysis was treated like high-level science. Courts believed it. Prosecutors relied on it. Juries trusted it. The expert testified that the marks were bite marks. The bite marks matched Jimmie Duncan's teeth, and Duncan must have caused the child's death. It was presented as scientific fact, but here's what the jury never knew. Bite mark forensics were already being questioned. Many scientists had already begun warning that human skin is too elastic to make reliable bite impressions. The expert had a history of overstating certainty, but prosecutors used him anyway. There was no DNA, no fingerprints, and no witness. The bite mark testimony was the only piece linking Duncan to wrongdoing. Still, the state presented it as bulletproof evidence. From the beginning, the courtroom felt stacked against Duncan. Prosecutors told the jury he was abusive, angry, and violent, but provided no solid proof. They argued the child's death was no accident but a brutal murder. They leaned heavily on the bite mark expert, using dramatic language to make the science appear exact and irrefutable. Duncan's defense was outmatched. They didn't have the funds, they didn't have strong forensic experts, and they didn't have access to the information the prosecution hid. Years later, we would learn that key evidence was suppressed. Prosecutors withheld crucial notes and reports that cast doubt on the bite mark findings. Investigators had altered photographs. Some images were manipulated to make the marks appear more like bite marks. The medical examiner had raised uncertainties, but those uncertainties never reached the jury. Without the full truth, the jury made the only decision they could with the limited information they had. They found Duncan guilty of capital murder. The judge sentenced him to death by lethal injection. With a single verdict, his life effectively ended. For nearly 30 years, Jimmie Duncan lived in a small, cold cell in Louisiana's death row unit. A concrete box with a metal bed, a steel toilet, and a tiny slit of a window. His days were silent, repetitive, and lonely. He read books. He prayed. He wrote letters. He waited for appeals. He watched other death row inmates taken away and never return. He always maintained the same statement: "I didn't kill her, please believe me." But almost no one did, until a team of wrongful conviction lawyers decided to take another look. When Duncan's new legal team reviewed the case, they were stunned. They discovered bite mark evidence is scientifically unreliable. Modern studies proved you cannot match bite marks on skin to a specific person. The expert had overstated his certainty. In fact, many experts today say bite mark matching should never have been allowed in court. Prosecutors had withheld exculpatory evidence. Information favorable to Duncan was hidden. Photos had been manipulated to make the marks appear more like human bites. Even medical examiners questioned the marks, but their doubts were buried. Piece by piece, the case fell apart. The truth was finally visible. There was no scientific basis, no physical evidence, and no reliable testimony proving Duncan committed the crime. In 2025, a Louisiana judge reviewed the corrected evidence. The judge declared that Duncan's original conviction was unreliable, unfair, and unconstitutional. He ruled that the state's case was built on misconduct, junk science, suppressed evidence, and false confidence from so-called experts. The judge overturned Duncan's conviction. After nearly 30 years on death row, the state opened the heavy steel prison doors, and Jimmie Duncan walked out a free man. The Duncan case quickly became national news because it exposed the cracks in America's criminal justice system. Fake forensic science was treated like real science for decades. Innocent people were convicted with it, and some were executed. Prosecutors faced no consequences for hiding evidence, even when it cost a man his freedom. Death penalty trials are vulnerable to error, and errors can be deadly. But most painfully, a man lost half his life because of mistakes he didn't make. His story is now part of a larger movement demanding forensic reform, prosecutorial accountability, and nationwide re-examination of old convictions. Jimmie Duncan entered prison as a young man. He left as an elderly one. He missed decades of life, birthdays, family, freedom, simple things like sunlight and fresh air. The world he returned to is almost unrecognizable. Smartphones, social media, a modern society he never had the chance to live in. No apology can give back the years he lost. No money can restore the life that was taken from him. But his case stands as a warning. When the justice system is wrong, it is devastatingly wrong. And sometimes the truth takes decades to escape from behind prison walls. This is True Crime Mine, where we don't just tell stories of crime, we tell the stories of a system that cries out for justice.